Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're not talking about your average easy drinking wine. Not at all.
No, definitely not. We're going somewhere much more extreme.
We are diving into a world where the grapes, well, they genuinely seem to fight for their existence. Forget those nice flat valleys, the easy mechanized rows. We're talking vines clinging to sheer cliffs, growing on volcanoes.
That's pretty much the definition right there. We're exploring heroic viticulture. These are wines that, if you look at modern efficiency, they just shouldn't exist.
Right, because the terrain is too steep.
Yeah.
Too high.
Exactly. Too steep, too high, maybe just too remote. This whole thing, it's more than farming. It's a philosophy almost, resilience.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to give you a shortcut, kind of to understanding this whole category.
Yeah, what makes them tick?
We're looking at what defines these bottles, their official criteria, right?
Oh, yeah, very specific.
And how this extreme terroir translates into, well, really unique flavor.
Unparalleled complexity, often.
And why these bottles get called patrimony wines. That sounds important. This is because they're like cultural investments, ethical ones.
It is important. A patrimony wine isn't just a tasty drink. It's a designation that recognizes these wines are fundamentally tied to human history, to specific survival techniques.
Like protecting an ancient monument almost.
Kind of, yeah. And the payoff for all that incredible human effort. It's a wine with just profound character.
Okay, let's unpack this heroic label. Because I guess not every difficult vineyard gets the badge, right? There's an official body.
That's right. It's called Cervim. It stands for the Center for Research, Study, Safeguarding, Coordination, and Valorization of Mountain Viticulture. Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah. Cervim. Got it. So they set the rules.
They do. And what's crucial is that they set technical, measurable criteria. A vineyard just needs to meet one of these four conditions.
Only one. Okay. That tells you how defining these things are.
Definitely.
So the first one, probably the most dramatic visually, is the slope. An inclination greater than 30%. Why 30%? Is that just where machines give up?
Pretty much, yeah. Functionally, that's the point where heavy machinery starts getting really inefficient or, frankly, dangerous. But, the scale of heroism goes way beyond that. The sources mention places like the Douro Valley in Portugal. Slopes there can hit 70%.
70%.
Yeah.
That's practically a wall. You're climbing to pick grapes.
You really are. And that struggle, that lack of mechanization, defines everything.
Okay, criterion 2. Altitude. Vineyards above 500 meters.
Yep. Higher than 500 meters, or about 1,640 feet.
And altitude changes the whole growing game, right? Slows things down.
Fundamentally, it leads to slow, gradual ripening. And that's absolutely key for developing complex flavors and aromas.
Makes sense. Then number 3 is terraces or socalcos.
Right. These are those steep steps, often ancient terraces, built and maintained entirely by hand.
Like you see in pictures of Cinque Terre in Italy. Those incredible stone walls.
Exactly like Cinque Terre, those Muretti Secco, the dry stone walls, they're heroic because they need constant back-breaking manual work just to stop the hillside from washing away.
Wow. Okay. And the last one.
Isolation. This covers small islands like Pantelleria off Sicily or the Canary Islands.
So places where just getting supplies in and the wine out is a huge challenge. Logistics, nightmare.
Precisely. The logistics are severely limited.
So you put all that together. The slope, the height, the hand-built terraces, the remoteness, the human cost must be enormous.
It's exponential. These heroic areas, they can require up to 1,500 hours of labor per hectare every year.
1,500 hours?
Yeah.
Compared to what normally?
Well, conventional, flat, mechanized vineyards might take around 200 hours per hectare.
200 versus 1,500. Okay.
So yeah, the production costs skyrocket, 10, maybe even 20 times higher. That phenomenal effort, that dedication, that's really what you're paying for in the bottle.
Right. So that immense effort, that struggle, it's not just for show. It directly impacts the wine. This environmental stress, it's channeled somehow to create quality you just can't get easily.
That's the magic of it, really. The vine is fighting for survival, and that struggle creates something special. Take the roots.
Yeah, they have to work harder.
On those steep slopes, the vine has to grow deep, vigorous roots, partly just to anchor itself, stop it sliding down the hill.
Makes sense.
But also to search for water, for nutrients, which are often scarce in these poor soils. And that deep rooting, it translates into a distinct mineral essence in the wine.
And the actual rock, the geology, must play a bigger role when things are so extreme. You hear about schisto or slate and volcanic soils a lot with these wines.
Oh, absolutely. The mother rock is key. Schisto, which you find in the Douro or Priorat in Spain, it's dark schist, basically. It soaks up heat during the day.
Right, like a radiator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And releases it slowly at night, helps get the grapes perfectly ripe.
And volcanic, like Etna.
Totally different beast. Volcanic soil, like on Etna, gives these unique notes. Ash, iron, sometimes like struck flint or gunpowder. Plus, usually this amazing, vibrant acidity.
Okay, this is fascinating. The sun and altitude. Higher up means more intense UV radiation, right?
Yeah.
How does the vine cope?
It protects itself, like putting on sunscreen in a way. It produces more protective compounds.
Which are?
Anthocyanins, those are the color pigments in reds. And terpenes or pyrazines, those are key aroma compounds.
So more UV means deeper color in the reds.
Deeper, sometimes almost inky colors, yeah. And sharper, purer smells. You get these really clear, bright fruit notes, like the freshness you find in Mencia from Ribera Sacra. It's quite striking.
But the real secret weapon for balance, especially in warmer spots, is the thermal amplitude, right? That day-night temperature swing.
Ah, yes. This is absolutely crucial. It's the key to elegance and longevity.
How does it work chemically?
Well, the hot sunny days build up the sugars in the grape, but then, crucially, the temperature plummets at night.
Right. Quick drop.
And that sudden cold basically slams the brakes on the vine's metabolism. It stops it from burning off its natural acids, the tartaric and malic acids.
So the cold preserves the acidity.
Exactly. It locks in that essential freshness. That's why you can have powerful, concentrated wines from these areas that still feel vibrant and balanced, not flabby. That acidity is the backbone. It lets them age beautifully, too.
And underneath all this, there's often a story about the grapes themselves. Many of these regions use autochthonous grapes, local varieties.
Very often, yes. Varieties that evolved right there perfectly adapted to those tough conditions. Think of Prié Blanc in Valle Aosta in Italy.
Okay.
It's often grown Pe Franco. That means on its own roots, pre-phylloxera, non-grafted. It's like a living piece of history, genetically speaking.
Wow.
And don't forget the human element again. Maintaining those ancient dry stone walls isn't just about the vineyard. It prevents erosion. It preserves entire landscapes. It's an act of cultural sustainability. Many of these areas are UNESCO World Heritage Sites, like the Alto Douro.
Okay, let's take a quick sensory tour. Put some names and taste to these extreme places. Italy seems like a good place to start. They seem to be leaders here.
Italy's definitely a vanguard, yeah. Let's start up north, Valtellina, in Lombardy. They grow Nebbiolo, like in Piedmont, but here it's on incredibly steep, terraced slopes.
So different expression of Nebbiolo.
Very much so. High structure, potent but really fine tannins. They also make Sforzat there, that's a passito style, using dried grapes. Super concentrated, built for aging, powerful stuff.
Then way down south, Etna in Sicily.
Yeah.
Totally different vibe, right? Volcanic.
Completely. Reds are mainly Nerello Mascalese. People often compare it to Pinot Noir or Nebbiolo for its structure and perfume, but it has this unmistakable volcanic edge. Burnt earth, smoke, iron.
That smoke note is really noticeable.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's like graphite or wet ashes, gunflint maybe. It's a direct signature of the soil. And the whites from Carricante are fantastic too. Citrus, maybe some anise, and that characteristic high acidity.
And for coastal, Cinque in Liguria, those terraces tumbling down to the sea.
Iconic. Their most famous wine is a sweet one, Chanctitra, made from dried grapes. Again, it's marked by honey, saffron, maybe apricot, but then this amazing hit of salinity.
Salinity. From the sea spray.
Has to be. It's quite pronounced and really unique.
Okay, let's hop over to the Iberian Peninsula. Portugal's Douro Valley. We mentioned the slopes already. 70%.
Yeah, the Douro is sort of the poster child for steep slate socalcos, those terraces. They make port wine, of course, but also incredible dry table wines now. Really robust, concentrated reds. Think dark black fruit, graphite, maybe some wild herbs, and a really firm structure, built to last.
And neighboring Spain. Ribera Sacra in Galicia, also super steep.
Just as dramatic. Sheer sleet slopes plunging down to the river sill. It's breathtaking.
And the wine style.
The star here is the Mencia grape for reds. They tend to be lighter in body than Douro wines, but with this incredible vibrant acidity, fresh red fruit like cranberries, sour cherries, maybe some floral notes too. Really energetic. And the whites from Gagdello are fantastic mineral, green apple, maybe a hint of fennel.
Wow. Okay, one more extreme. The Canary Islands, volcanic and maritime.
The ultimate combination of extremes, maybe. You get volcanic soils, often very old vines, plus this constant wind and influence from the Atlantic.
So what does that taste like?
The wines are famous for accentuated salinity, even more so than hectare sometimes, and those unique volcanic mineral notes, ash, iron, maybe something flinty, truly a taste of a remote, wind-battered volcanic place.
Okay, so if you're tasting one of these heroic wines, maybe blind, what clues are you looking for? How does all that struggle show up in the glass visually first?
Well, remember that UV protection thing, the high concentration of anthocyanins.
Right, the color compounds.
That often leads to really deep, sometimes almost opaque colors in the red wines. Think Douro Reds or Priorat. They just look concentrated.
And when you swirl the glass, the legs or tears.
Yeah, the viscosity. If you see thick, slow-moving legs clinging to the glass, that often points to high levels of dry extract, meaning lots of dissolved solids or sometimes high alcohol.
Which makes sense for grapes getting that intense sun at altitude, or maybe dried grapes like in Sforzat or Sierra Tri.
Exactly. It suggests concentration achieved through those extreme conditions.
Okay, moving on to smell and taste. This is where that minerality and salinity should really pop.
This is where the terroir speaks loudest.
Yeah.
Minerality. It's tricky to define, but you're looking for non-fruit notes that suggest the rock itself.
Like?
Smashed rocks, wet slate, or ardosia, as they say in Portugal, graphite like pencil lead, or in those volcanic areas, maybe gunpowder, struck match, that sort of ash note. It's the flavor of the geology.
And salinity, that salty tang.
That's the maritime signature.
Right.
Definitely look for it in island wines like the Canaries or coastal ones like Cinque Terre. It often comes through on the finish, like a little lick of sea spray. Adds a really refreshing, almost tonic quality, balances the richness or alcohol.
Makes sense. And structure, we talked about acidity being preserved by the cold nights. That should be obvious.
It should be, yeah. That low pH, that high acidity, gives the wines an electric energy, a real freshness, even if they're quite powerful. It's what makes them so food-friendly and guarantees they can age. It's the preservative.
But what about tannins in the reds? You'd expect harsh tannins from stressed vines, maybe, but you said they're often fine-grained.
That's that paradox of slow ripening, especially at altitude. Yes, the tannins are usually abundant and provide a frame structure. These aren't flimsy wines.
Right.
But that long, slow, gradual maturation period allows the tannins themselves to fully ripen and polymerize, basically, link up into longer, smoother chains.
Ah, okay. So they're present but polished. Not rough or green.
Exactly. You get structure without harshness, fine-grained, grippy maybe, but polished. It's a hallmark of well-made wines from these kinds of environments.
Okay, so these wines are complex, intense, structured. Pairing them must require a bit of thought. What are the main principles?
Well, the golden rule, principle one, is always think local, regionality, or che la même zero, as the Italians say.
The wine grew up with the food.
Exactly. They evolved together for centuries. So the safest and often the best pairings are traditional local dishes.
Give us an example.
Can't beat a classic. A big, structured Douro Red with roasted cabrito. That's slow-cooked young goat. Rich, a bit fatty. The tannins in the wine just latch onto the protein and fat, softening the wine, enriching the dish. Perfect synergy.
Okay, regionality first. What's principle two?
Use the wine's acidity against fat. Remember that bright, high acidity we talked about?
Yeah, the palate cleanser.
Precisely. It cuts through richness like a knife. So take a high-acid white from altitude, like that Prié Blanc from Valle d'Aosta. It's brilliant with really rich, fatty things. Think alpine cheese fondue or maybe a pasta with a heavy cream sauce. The wine slices through, keeps your palate fresh.
Makes sense. Acidity cuts fat. And for the big reds with those polished tannins.
That's principle three. Tannin versus protein. Protein molecules in food, especially red meat, bind with tannin molecules in the wine.
And that does what? Softens the wine.
It makes the tannins feel less astringent, smoother, rounder in your mouth. This allows the wine's fruit and those complex mineral or savory notes to come forward.
So think steak.
Definitely. Roasted red meats, grilled meats, game is fantastic, like venison or wild boar with a Nebbiolo from Valtellina, or a structured Douro Red. Also works beautifully with hard, aged cheeses, like a good Parmigiano Reggiano. The protein and fat tame the tannins.
Right. Built for serious food. What about those amazing, sweet, heroic wines, the pasitos, like Siac de Tra or maybe Ben Rayet from Pantelleria?
Two main approaches there. You can pair by contrast. The classic is pairing a sweet wine with something salty.
Like gout cheese.
Exactly, a salty, pungent blue cheese like Roquefort or Gorgonzola Picante against the intense sweetness and acidity of the Pasito. It's a fantastic push-pull.
Oh.
Or you pair by similarity, match the wine's flavors. Since Pasitos often have notes of dried fruits, honey, nuts, pair them with desserts featuring those things.
Almond cookies, biscotti, maybe panettone.
Perfect. Things like that. But the key, always, is that these sweet wines still have that heroic high acidity that stops them from being sickly sweet or cloying. They stay refreshing.
Looking ahead, climate change must be a huge issue for these already extreme places. It sounds like a paradox.
It really is a profound paradox. On one hand, that altitude, which is one of the criteria for heroism, provides a vital, cool refuge against rising global temperatures.
So it helps keep that acidity we love.
It does. But climate instability brings huge new threats. Number one, torrential rains.
On those steep terraced slopes. Disaster.
Exactly. Intense downpours threaten the stability of those ancient hand-built stone walls. You get increased risk of erosion, even catastrophic landslides wiping out entire vineyard plots.
And the opposite problem.
Drought. Longer, more severe droughts are forcing producers, even in places like the Douro, which were traditionally dry farmed, to think about irrigation.
Which changes everything, right? The traditional profile, water use.
It changes the vine physiology, the resulting wine style, and raises massive questions about water sustainability in already stressed regions.
So they desperately need help. Maybe technology, drones to monitor, sensors.
They absolutely need tools like drones for surveying inaccessible slopes, or soil humidity sensors to manage water precisely. But the cost of implementing this tech, it's often just too high for these small, often family-run, heroic producers.
Which brings us to the role of the consumer,
Yeah.
our role.
Yes, and maybe the role of the sommelier or retailer, too. It's about translating that high price tag on the bottle.
Reminding people about those 1,500 hours per hectare.
Exactly. Explaining that the cost reflects immense human effort, incredible risk, and the preservation of something unique. It's about communicating the high intrinsic value, not just the price.
So choosing one of these wines, it's more than just buying a drink.
It really is. You can think of it as an ethical and cultural vote. You're supporting a fair return for the winemaker's incredibly hard work.
You're helping preserve those unique landscapes, those UNESCO sites.
And you're ensuring the survival of these ancient, sometimes rare autochthonous grape varieties. You're protecting living history, both physical heritage and a vital genetic library. #tagoutro. So we've gone from, the dizzying slopes of the Douro and the sea-sprayed terraces of Cinque Terre
To the smoky volcanic soils of Etna.
and seen how, again and again, adversity, that struggle, is really the engine driving the quality and uniqueness in heroic viticulture.
It's a pretty powerful reminder, isn't it, that the most memorable flavors, the most unique experiences often come from the greatest effort and dedication, from that resilience.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought for you to mull over. We mentioned that heroic viticulture, because it's often so isolated, protects genetic history.
Right, those pre-phylloxera vines like Pré Blanc or some of the Canaries, living artifacts.
Exactly, vines that are rare or maybe even extinct elsewhere. So if supporting these wines, buying these bottles, is maybe the purest, most direct way we have to preserve this irreplaceable genetic heritage of the vine, not just for history, but for the future of viticulture globally.
Should we perhaps start thinking about these wines, these vineyards, as essential global agricultural treasures? Almost like the seed banks in Svalbard, but living, producing.
Yeah.
Regardless of the price tag.
Wow. That definitely puts a different perspective on that expensive bottle, doesn't it? Something to think about next time you taste a wine that genuinely speaks of stone and struggle and survival. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.